Right, but the top story remains demonetization and its fallout. So it's payday. Salaries are starting to hit bank accounts across the country, and banks are gearing up for longer queues outside their branches and ATMs. So banking sources say that ATMs are currently getting on with only a fraction of the cash required to meet the demands, and that is a big concern. So just as a sample, take this one. Now, demand at ATMs is generally 3 times higher between the 28th and the 10th of every month, obviously as salaries get credited into employee accounts. Now, employees of banks have written to the Indian Banks Association saying, and I quote, "It is difficult to face the wrath and rage of customers." End quote. Now, in that letter, bank employees claim that most 100-rupee notes supplied by the RBI are so soiled that they've been rendered unusable. Now, they also warn that the next 10 days will be very tense and ask for cash supply to be increased. Now, Ritu Singh joins us with the details of how acute the cash crunch is at ATMs and also with the details of that letter written by bank employees to the Indian Bank Association. Ritu, so banks seem to be gearing up with what could be a tense next few days, and not just that, employees seem like they're pretty nervous as well.
Absolutely. Given the chaos that they've been facing over the last few weeks post this demonetization, they're bound to be very worried and therefore have written to the IBA. But in the meantime, cash supply, as you mentioned, does remain a severe problem across metros. In fact, we understand that banks are only disbursing between 10 to 12,000 crores per day through their branch networks and ATMs. This is only half of the supply, half of the demand that they're able to meet through this particular supply. I'll tell you how exactly we arrived at these numbers is because, for instance, sources in State Bank of India said they manage about 50% of the Reserve Bank of India's currency chests, through which they're able to disperse between 5,000 to 6,000 crores per day through their entire branch and ATM network. From this, the ATMs are only able to disperse between 1,800 to 2,000 crores per day. Now, given that they are managing almost half of the currency chest, it would be a simple calculation to multiply by that by 2 to arrive at that 10,000 to 12,000 figure. So clearly, cash supply is a big issue. Also, note that 85% of the debit card transactions are not through online banking or any other way, but 85% in fact are through the ATM network, and that ATM recalibration may have been close to being completed, yet cash is in scarce supply. In fact, ATMs, we understand, are only able to disburse about 4,000 crores per day, and they're fast running out of cash, given that between the 28th and the 10th of every month, the demand for cash peaks as payday approaches. And of course, that is one of the reasons you're seeing ATMs being far, in fact, we understand from our sources that the ATM Association, etc., have also spoken to the RBI about this issue and apprise them of the fact that ATMs need to be replenished more frequently, given a priority, given that a bulk of the demand is coming from that ATM network, and yet the cash supply is far from sufficient. In the meantime, the IBA has received a letter from the bank's managers, bank associates, saying the 100-rupee notes being supplied are so soiled, they're not usable, and therefore they're also expecting a severe crunch in the next few days and have sought RBI's help to help them with this particular issue.
Right, Ritu. So thank you for comprehensively summing up all that is happening on that demonetization front as payday approaches and banks get more and more nervous with the shortage of cash. But meanwhile, government sources say that the RBI is aware of the problems during payday. The Finance Ministry is in constant touch with the central bank. Rituparna Bhuyan has been tracking that story for us, and he's here with the details. Ritu, what are you picking up from there?
Well, we spoke to some senior government functionaries, and what we were told was this: that the government and the RBI were aware that payday will be a huge challenge for the entire demonetization discourse that we have been seeing since November 8th, and hence there was a strategy which was drawn up. And as a part of the strategy, RBI and Finance Ministry were in touch. In fact, this morning also there were there's some notes which were exchanged. If you go by what Ritu just told us, there is a cash crunch that we have seen, especially over the past 2-3 days. According to government sources, that was planned because the government, according to government estimates, it's between 30th and 7th to 10th of a month. You see higher withdrawals from branches, and hence to ensure that there is enough notes and cash 100 rupee, 500 rupee and 2000 rupee notes to ensure its availability. The government and RBI had taken a decision to basically curtail the supply of notes in the past 2-3 days. From tonight, in fact, from this evening, according to our sources, the supply of currency to ATMs and banks will increase. RBI has been maintaining enough stock of currencies of all denominations as a part of this strategy. Another aspect that government is now aware is that the position regarding 100 rupee notes, according to the government, it suspects that there's a lot of hoarding of 100 rupee notes that has been going on, and perhaps in the next few days we might see some measures to tackle the hoarding of 100 rupee notes. With that, it's back to you.
Right, Ritu. Thanks so much for that. In fact,